Hi, welcome to my live stream. I've got another video for you today. This one here is a impromptu, not planned. I'm going to take the truck out to bring some stuff to the dump. You'll see some stuff in the back. I went to leave the driveway, got right around the corner, the car died. Truck died, I should say. Rolled down the street. I thought maybe I ran out of gas. I flipped the gas tank switch, cranked it, wouldn't start. I was 400 feet down the road by then. Did some quick checks. Wasn't starting easy, thought I smelled gas. Pushed it down the street. Got it in front of my house. Did a quick diagnosis last night. Got it running and brought it back here so I can now share how I did that. Ended up being a bad PCM. Now, I'm going to give you the statistics of reality. The chances of it being a bad PCM on any vehicle is very, very low. We get more PCMs replaced that aren't bad than they are. Now, I have a record of never replacing a PCM that didn't need to be changed. Let me show you how I do that. First of all, let's take a look at the vehicle. Let's see what's going on. I've got the bad PCM back in it. You go to the vehicle, and you go to start it up, and if you look, no check engine light came on. You crank it, and nothing is happening. So now we have to figure out what's going on. In a no-start situation, you need to figure out what's missing. Fuel, spark, compression, what are missing. One good way to find that out is to use these tools right here. Now I happen to know this one I think fit yesterday, and I'm going to unplug it. I'm going to plug my Noid light is what this is called in here. That looks good. And we're going to go ahead and put that right there. Again, we're going to put it someplace where you can see it. Let me make sure you can see that on the camera. Doesn't look like it. So you can see those. Yep, you can see those. We're going to leave those there until it runs. Let's go ahead and crank it again. I can't see it, but I know. They did not flash. So that tells me I have no fuel injecting into the cylinders, and I have no spark going to the cylinders. So that means it's not working. So that's just a quick check of what I'm missing. Now I know what I'm missing. Now, another thing you can do on an OBD2 car, a new car, 96 and newer, you could connect an OBD2 scan to it, try to connect to it, see if it will connect. This one will not. This has the older style Ford, where you have to go in, you can do a key on engine off, key on engine running test. Obviously you won't be able to do a key on engine running test, but you could attempt to do a key on engine off test. In this case, it's going to fail. It's not going to happen. Now, if you know your own vehicle, you know how and when you can scan it, I hope. If not, get to that point. So I know that it would not scan. So my leanings is something's missing. So let me go ahead and turn the key to the on position, to the run position, and let's go ahead and do some basic checks. So first thing I want to do is, do I have power? I've got a test light hooked up here. I don't want to mess with other tools that I used last night. Yeah, more like yesterday. Connect it to negative, make sure it glows. Keys in the on and run position, I think. Sure. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check here at the coil. Now what I'm going to do is I'm checking for power at the coil. And I have power at the coil. I'm going to have power at both sides. Now, one of these is a power wire. The other one is a ground wire that goes to the ignition module, which is right over here on the fender well. So you have power with the ignition key on, and the ignition module or the computer, whatever controls the ignition system on this vehicle, will fluctuate the ground wire. Which one's which? I'm not 100% sure right now. Now, I see a red wire right here, so I'm going to assume that's power. And I've got a yellow wire right here, which I'm going to assume is the ground. So we're going to leave that like that just for now. And what you can do is on the ground wire, once you know it's the ground wire, and you can look at wiring diagrams. Another way to figure it out, is you could just unplug it. Another quick check to see if the ignition coil is okay too. If you had fuel. If you had fuel but you didn't have spark, is unplug this. One side should now have power, which I believe is the red side. Yep. And the other side. So that's my ground side. So if I plug that back in, and I'll show you later when I have the good working stuff in here. When you crank the car, this should flash. As it grounds, as the ignition module grounds it, the ground side should flash as it's grounding the coil to fire it. So I'll show you that later when it's running, because we don't need this here right now. What we need to do next is check our main power and grounds going to the PCM. Because again, I have no communications. My check engine light's not coming on, and I was pretty sure it came on before. That's another thing, you don't know if it was coming on before. All of my electrical connections for the PCM are in this box under the hood. I did print out wiring diagrams from All Data. And I have fuse box orientations from All Data. Because Ford's not a big fan of telling you where stuff is. Now, this is the main fuse right here that has a hot and runner start or run. This should have power with the key on, and that feeds our power relay, which turns it on. It's power on one side, ground on the other side, that's our coil, and that's what powers our PCM. So I want to make sure that fuse U is still good. If I go here, and actually on here too, it says what fuse is what. My U fuse is this top one right here. I have power there. I have power there. So with that, that means my relay, PCM power relay, this lower corner one right here, and I'm sorry about the camera things. You have to use the little camera. If you full screen it, you might be able to see it a lot better. My PCM relay is this corner one right here. So I'm going to grab it, I'm going to pull it out, my key's on, I should hear it click when I unplug it. If it'll unplug. Come on. Okay, at least I know my connections are tight. So, if I just tap it in here, I can hear it and feel it click. And you guys might not be able to. Now, when I check these wires, I got power here, I got power here. That means I have ground here. If I reverse my terminals on this test light, put that to the positive, that means this should glow, and that's how you can check a relay quick. That allows me to know that this is working. I know it's working because it's clicking. That means this is my output. So if I put this in here and let it click, and then just sneak it in there, you can see it. It's that this relay is working. So I know that I've got power coming down this wire. Now this gets me at pin 3757 of the PCM. I get power here. Because again, I'm checking my powers and grounds next. If all my powers and grounds are good, and my communication lines are good. In other words, my wires from my communicator, from my scan tool to my PCM are good, which are these data link connectors. Check those too. Then you know your PCM is a problem. Now, in a newer OB2 car, it's pretty simple to check that. You check your serial connections. We're not going to do that. This is an older car. Usually, the check engine light being out is enough to say there's probably a problem. Now, you can also turn that check engine light on just by grounding the pin at the PCM. If it lights up, you know that light bulb is working. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to our next step. Our next step is going to be the next fuse, which is this one right here, fuse I. PCM power relay, PCM I. Third down from the top. So 1 space 3. That's that 20 ampere right there. And that's that. So I know my fuses running to these are good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this back in here because I don't need it to blow away. I'm now going to turn off the key and I'm going to disconnect the PCM connector. I know I have power. I know I have power going to it at least. At least it's going from the fuse box to it. So now here's some spare parts that I have from a truck that I stripped. I have a spare ignition module. That didn't work. Here I have a spare PCM, and it did work, but I didn't plug it in until I got past this point. When I had it, I like my record. And again, I didn't think it was going to be a PCM problem because I left the driveway, turned a corner, and that usually indicates some type of a electrical problem or something shifted in the vehicle problem. Not a PCM decided to go ahead and take a dump on me. All right, now this connector is not very tight because I've had it in and out a few times. So I just got to unscrew it. I've also got the cover off that retains this PCM. I've already swapped it out, put it in the right position. Wriggled the wires, make sure nothing happened. Once you get it to loosen, if you shake it like this, it will pop it out a little bit for you. And we'll go ahead and unplug this. Now what we're doing is we're going to be checking powers and grounds. Now, here's where a lot of people get stuck. Using a test light to check the power and ground. It glows, and it looks pretty bright, but how bright is bright? There's nothing powerful either. Now I want to keep back on. So you should use a voltmeter. To make sure you have enough power. Because believe it or not, a test light will glow bright at 9 volts. A PCM will not start at 9 volts. Alright, so we have PCM numbers. I already talked about pin 30-something and pin 50-something, so we need to figure out what pin is what. Once I took this little black piece off the back here, I haven't popped it back on yet, you can see numbers, terminal numbers, right along here. Pin 1, pin 21, and pin 41. That means this is pin 20, this is pin 40, and that's pin 60. Alright, so knowing that pin 1 is down here, 21, 41. So now we know our pin layout. Get out our diagram. And now let's get out our meter. The meter will tell me how much voltage I have. Just someplace where you guys can see it. You're not going to be able to see much with the pins. DC volts. You guys aren't going to be able to see much with the pins with this anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. Let's make sure you can see the screen. Kind of, sort of, not really. Like the sun. Sideways. That one. And you can kind of see it there. Alright. Now, for this type of terminal, I could use a regular meter lead. It's not that big a deal, but don't jam it in there. I have what it's called here a front probe or flex probe. And for that, I can go into each pin. Now, can you turn the key back on? Be careful with my wires when I turn this. Put my key on, this will be on. Yeah, okay, the key's on. Alright, so, checking my powers. So, I'm going to go straight across the top. Pin 37. So we said pin 1. Is down here. So this is pin 1. This is pin 20. This is pin 21 and 40 right here. I think, yeah. So 40, 39, 38, 36, 37. Let's see if we got power on that. We got 10 volts. It's not very good, is it? So, that could be 10 volts because it's 10 volts, or it could be 10 volts, more likely. My battery's getting low, so let's put a jump box on her. Not a fan of these painted terminals. Let's try it on there. This is 10 volts. Okay. Either I'm on the wrong pin, or my jump box ain't doing a very good job. See what we got at the battery. 12.13. So either I'm on the wrong pin, or I've got a voltage drop problem. Let's try this again. Pin 21, pin 40. So that's pin 40, 39, 38, 40, 39, 38, 37. I think I was in the wrong pin. There we go, 12.6 volts. Now, that's what we call open circuit testing. And as much as I would love to say that is good, open circuit testing doesn't make a difference because current's not flowing through the system. So all I've got there is potential voltage. So what I want to do is I want to load this up by just doing that. You see how it dropped a hair? That's because my test light is loading up that wire. If I had high resistance in it, I would be dropping more than a half a volt. If it dropped more than a half a volt, then I have high resistance in that wire. Okay? High resistance in that wire. That wire is good because the test light is glowing. I dropped just a hair. That makes that circuit loaded. If there's any resistance in there, I would see it now. It would be in series with this test light. Right? Now, I know that's not an easy concept, but open circuit voltage isn't good. You could have good voltage, but resistance in between. I can demonstrate that, but I don't have the stuff here to do that right now. Alright. No, actually I do, don't I? Here. Let me show you. If I go on the ground side of this coil, that means current is flowing through the coil. What about that? 11.86. Current is flowing through the coil, and it's going to going through the ground side. So that is open circuit voltage of this dirty ass terminal on the back side of this connector. And it's not going anywhere. So that's voltage actually flowing through that coil, and believe me, the resistance of that coil is very low. So you should see a pretty big voltage drop on that. If it was powered up, it's not powered up. It's powered, it's not grounded. So current's not flowing through it. Alright, next one is pin 57. So pin 60, again, turn this over to make sure I'm in the right spot here. Pin 60. Pin 60 is this one right here. So 60. 60, 59, 58, 57. Oop, fell out. 60, 59, 57. And I've got 12.2 volts there. Now that's just a branch off of the same wire. So hopefully that splice is good. And yeah, we have the same thing. Very small voltage drop when I power that test light up. That means that wire is good. Moving on to the next wire. Again, I'm going across the front here. My next wire is going to be this one right here, which is pin 1. This pin 1 is powered all the time. So whether the key's on or off, that one should have power. Pin 1 is right there. This flex probe doesn't fit in her exactly what I like it. Big on 12.2 volts. That's another thing. If the flex probe's not tight, maybe the same problem. There we go. So that wire is good. So I know my power is all good. That's the last power wire. I go across here. This one right here grounds this relay for the fuel pump. This one right here tells the computer the fuel pump clicked on. That's another thing. When I crank the car, I don't hear the fuel pump. This wire goes out to the fuel pump. That's it for power coming in. 4 diagrams. Power is always coming in the top. Ground always coming out the bottom. So, my grounds. I have pin 40, pin 60, pin 20. Pin 40. Now I need to flip things around. It should show 0 volts there. I need to put my meter on the power side, on the plus side, wherever I can get decent power. Right there's good. I need to put my test lights on the ground side, because I'm gonna be glowing it off the ground side this time. Checking my ground surface integrity. And wherever you can put this onto this good clean ground. Okay. So I got 12.2. I got minus because my meter leads it backwards. It's fine. It's different. Now what I'm gonna do. This will be my ground side. Yeah, so I should flip my leads. Let me flip my leads. And flip. Otherwise I'm confusing you here. See, when I do this stuff myself, I don't think about the negative, I just do it. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it sounds like a trailer just lost a tire on the highway. I know I got a noise filter on, you guys can't really hear the highway, but I can hear it, and man, something just went boom and dragged. So I'm going to assume it was a truck tire. All the funds are working outside of my yard. The other day we heard a boom. Yeah. Positive on the positive. Use your cell phone to do the switch. Now this is my negative wire because I'm checking grounds. Now my polarity should be good. Again, when you're doing this and you know this stuff, you don't worry about the negatives, you just deal with it. Now when I go to the COM, I should light up, yeah. So that's better, right? So again, a slight voltage drop, less than a half a volt, means it's good. And I have loose connections here and bad battery connections, so if I'm getting that, then I know I'm good. Alright, next pin. Pin 40 and pin 60. So, what pin did I just do? Is it 40? What is that? It was 40, isn't it? Pin 1? Yeah, that was pin 40, so this is pin 60, we'll do 60 next. Again, 4.25 volts. Ground. Powered up, didn't drop much. And last one's, oh, pin 20. Pin 20, pin 40, and pin 60. All these three across the top here are all my grounds. Well, that was almost pretty smart there, Ford. Alright. And you could leave the test light here if you want to. And go that way. That confirms my powers and my grounds are good. So my powers and grounds are good. I could check the communications if I want. I didn't even try communicating with it. My light wasn't coming on. I knew my check engine light was working. That was my first indication that I had a problem with the PCM. So then I took the cover off. 2 11mm bolts on top and bottom there. That took the cover off. Then I had to remove a couple of the bolts for the wheel well. That slid the PCM out. But before I even did that, I took my known good PCM from the manual car. Now this PCM will work. It's from a manual truck. But what it won't do is it won't work my transmission. Because it's a manual car, the transmission stuff is not turned on. So it won't shift my 4-speed automatic transmission. We just plug this in. Turn my key off. See, I almost did that. I'm trying to make the video short. Don't hook up. Don't disconnect the PCM with the power on. Bad idea. Now we'll go ahead and plug in our known good PCM. Now, if you have a known good PCM and you want to toss it in and avoid that whole diagnosis thing, go for it. But if you don't have a PCM on hand, this PCM varies in price, and you got to go by these numbers up here. Which numbers were it? It was the F4TF, and this one here says AHA. And that was for that other truck, the red truck, 94. It was a manual transmission though, because that engine got rid of the engine. The harnesses, computers, and this engine now is going to go in that truck over there. When I finally decided to get rid of this truck. I have everything else. I have all the harnesses. I have all the fuel lines. I just want to convert that truck to 94 fuel injection versus 84 carburation. Alright, so the PCM is now connected. It's up here. It's not quite in its right spot. So this is where we could kind of get worried about it could be a bad connection to the wire. Now it's good because you bent the harness up. So that's why you want to shake the harness around when at this point. But now we're to the point we should be able to start the truck. Now, what do we have here? We have our Nord light still connected. Our thing is still connected. I'm going to go ahead and plug this back in and swap this back around and put this on ground. You know what? Let's do it that way. It's on power. This is kind of the way you want to do it anyways. You want to be on power because we're going to ground it. We're going to ground it to turn it on. So this will turn on every time the coil goes to fire. This key's off. When I turn the key on, that light should go out. It did. Now when I crank it, the test light should flash, the ignition should flash, and the Nord light should flash. Let's peek at the dash. My check engine light is now on. Taking a wire out of me, aren't you? Did I leave something unplugged important? You should see on the video if it flashed or not. Connected. It's connected. That one. I'm going to plug this injector back in. I'm going to take this out of here. I'm going to assume everything flashed like it was supposed to. I hope. This would have made it happen. Alright, there we go. Maybe it's just because I didn't start it today. Watch your wires. That is flashing. I know it looks like it's on constantly. When you cranked it, it was probably flashing. That's actually flashing. It's an 8-cylinder. That's actually flashing. Hopefully when I cranked it, you saw that. That's flashing. Because now everything is here. So, I looked at the junkyards. Couldn't find any reasonable that I would pay for a junkyard computer. I then went online. Checked all the local parts stores. PCM for this about $125 for a remanufactured one. Give or take. I checked O'Reilly's. I checked Auto Parts. What's that one? Advanced Auto Parts. I checked AutoZone. They all had about the same price. O'Reilly's, you have to pay $150 to get a discount. It was $150 and I wasn't going to add more to get that discount. AutoZone had a 20% discount for anything over $100. And Advanced was also 20% off for anything over $100. Advanced PCM was $119. AutoZone was $124. Both the same part. Both from AR Cardone. Core for Advanced Auto Parts was $85. The core from AutoZone was $50. So the upfront cost from AutoZone was lower than the upfront cost from Advanced Auto Parts. When everything was done and said and over with after taxes and everything, it would be $2 cheaper from Advanced. Believe it or not, I went with the Advanced one. I shelled out a little bit more money to get the part. It's going to cost me just over $100 for the new PCM. And it'll end up being $2 cheaper from Advanced Auto Parts than it was from AutoZone. Does it matter where you buy your PCM from? No, it doesn't. If somebody had a used PCM for $25, that would have been the one I jumped on. I did find a used PCM listed for $25 out in the middle of Midwest somewhere. And by the time I got it, it had a core charge also for some reason. It would have ended up costing me $50 for a used PCM. Used PCM is a used PCM, has no guarantees. New one, I believe the new one has 2-year guarantee. That means if something goes wrong with it in 2 years, they'll exchange it. For the extra $50, I went that way. Even though this truck probably isn't worth that. This is just a go-getter truck. I use it to, if I was going to go to the dump, I use it to pick up stuff at Home Depot, yada, yada, yada. You have to put into what you want. All in all, it's not that bad. The price for a PCM, diagnosing it myself, diagnosing it yourself. I know it's the PCM. If I didn't have that replacement PCM, maybe I would check those data link connectors a little better. But having power and ground, maybe I would have turned the check engine light on so I knew it worked. And the way to do that is you would find the pin on the PCM that goes to that light. That pin gets power from the instrument cluster and grounds to the PCM. So all you have to do is ground it. If you put the test light on it, with the test light on ground, usually both the test light and the light will light up. But you could just ground it. Just make sure you know it's that pin. You saw how I diagnosed the pins. I could see which one was pin 1, which one was pin 20, which one was pin 21, which one was pin 40. And all you do is just count back. Now I missed, obviously, when I counted the first time. On camera, I don't know if you guys notice or not, things don't go like they do when you're doing it all by yourself. So just be careful. On an older truck like this, it's not that big a deal. On a newer car, you could cause damage if you ground the wrong pin or if you power up the wrong pin. So you just want to be careful. Go slow. Do the best you can. Don't run out and buy a PCM unless you know it's a PCM. PCMs are expensive. Power stores will not take them back. I had one on hand that I knew would start the vehicle because it's the same year truck. It's the same year truck. It's the same gear truck. Configuration is the same, except I believe the other truck did have a mass airflow. Now that I think about it, that part number on this one's the one that I just put in, that 3-letter digit part number, I believe means it has a mass airflow. This one does not have a mass airflow. I'm not sure. But I knew that they were wired the same, and that's the important thing. If they're wired the same, then it will fire up the vehicle. If it's not wired the same, like in 96 it changed, 92 to 95, they were all wired the same. Sometime in 95 they started using a mass airflow sensor. That's when the three-digit last 3 of the part number start showing up. 2 digits means it didn't have a mass airflow sensor. There's a description for each PCM. I knew because the parts interchange that this one would work. Because I bought a 94 and I bought a 94. I stripped that one and I got this one, and I can see it's all the same. The wiring diagrams are the same. The 94, these are all 94 wiring diagrams, all data. If you have access to all data, that's great. If you don't have access to all data, find a friend, put a message somewhere online. Sometimes people will get the wiring diagrams for you. All data wiring diagrams I like, because these are Ford wiring diagrams. These are directly from the Ford books back in 94. They may look funny to most people. I've learned to read the different manufacturers' wiring diagrams. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're dealing with something like Volkswagen, which are the nightmare of all wiring diagrams. These aren't too bad. These are what we call cells. Individual wiring diagrams for each separate part. This was for the PCM's connections. And then there's other ones for the other connections for the computer. And you can see we've got our powers, we've got our grounds, and we've got our data link connector here. And our data link connector is right here. And all we would do, if I want to check data link connectors, look at these 3 pins. These 3 pins, the pink and light blue wire. I don't see pink and light blue wire. Tan and orange is this one right here. White and purple. You don't see the white and purple one. Maybe that's white and purple right there. Sometimes these colors change over time. Like this one right here is probably the pink one, the middle one, and that one down there is probably the white one. Or white and brown maybe. No, again, coloring on Fords are sometimes different because years they change it. They don't change the colors. On an OBD2 connector, it's a lot easier. It'll show you the pin number, pins 1 through 16, and then the numbers on the PCM. If I did OBD2 car, I would have definitely checked those pins, because I would have been looking for communications with that. With this OBD1 setup here, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking at the check engine light not turning on. Again, know your vehicle. If you know your check engine light was coming on before, check engine light ain't on, it's your indication your problems with the PCM or power and ground of that PCM. Each case is a tad different, but all these vehicles work the same. Whether it's a Ford, a Chevy, a Toyota, a Honda, so far, and I'm going to go knock on some wood, I have never replaced a PCM that didn't need it. Even in this case, where I had one I could just plug in, I still went through the diagnosis of making sure before I plugged it in that it was that. I didn't think it'd be the PCM. I took a corner, it stalled. That's usually not an indication of a PCM problem, because when you take the corner, usually something shifted, grounded out, wire broke, disconnected, something happened. Usually a wiring problem thing. Now I'm going to tell you what, when I took that cover off, I didn't smell it before. When I took this cover off, I got this stink. This is a rubber sealed cover that keeps water from getting in the box and into the package thing. When I took this off, I could smell electronics burnt. It was bad. It smelled really bad. It still smells really bad. I had to bring it in the house to look at the car number, and it made the house stink really bad. So that's another indication of a bad PCM, when it stinks. When you get that electronic burnt problem. That's really it for this video. I'm not sure how long it took. Hopefully it didn't take too long. If it did, skip through the boring parts. Like, subscribe, check out my t-shirt store. This t-shirt's not in my store. This is a t-shirt that I bought. I could put it on the store. I just looking for a t-shirt to wear today. This is the only video I'm doing today. This truck is kind of stuck here. It moves, it doesn't move in first, second, third, fourth gear. I believe it's stuck in second or fourth. Because this PCM won't shift it. So it's stuck here till the PCM comes in a couple days. They're going to ship it to me. And then I'll take the old PCM, bring it down to Advanced Auto Parts, get my cord charge back. I don't need that burnt PCM. Anyways, I'll just confuse it with the known good PCM that I'm going to use for that car. But yeah, that's what you do with the core. You bring it back to them. If you can order it online like I did and just bring it to the store locally, you'll get your core charge back right away. So the day I get the PCM is the day I'll get my core charge put back on my credit card. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Again, check your powers and your grounds and load up those circuits. Don't just go by how bright the test light is. The test light will light up pretty bright, even under 9 volts. I've actually tested this in classes. I've wired 2 10 ohm resistors in series, checked it with the meter, 12.5 volts, hooked this up, it goes down to 9 volts, this is still bright. I don't have the stuff to demonstrate that here, maybe that's another video. But the difference between open circuit voltage and load testing the circuit is the difference between it just being unplugged and checking the power, and then checking it. Now, if you have other things on there that are being powered up at the same time, which isn't usually the case with the PCM, that will load up the circuit for you, but usually, especially in today's cars, the powers are all separate for the PCM. So, you have to load up the circuit. That's really it. I'm babbling now, right? So, like, subscribe, check out my t-shirt store, and thanks for watching.